Good day and welcome to this MSS Refresher Session as a part of iLearn. This session is geared towards MSS lead teachers, but it's also definitely relevant to new teachers, to administrators, or really any teachers in need of a beginning of the year refresher session. So welcome. We're really happy that you're here and able to join us for this session. And when I say us, I actually mean me today. But typically, whenever we, as an L1 division team, offer MSS support sessions, there's a number of us who are able to join live. With me typically is our MSS guru and expert, Sandra Potratz. Also, someone that joins us when he can is our tech and integration lead, James Lowe. As well, executive assistant who supports our MSS secretary and SDS connections, Linda Clausen, and our overseer of all things in relation to MSS has always been Sherry Martin, and this year it's the baton, I guess, has been handed over to a very capable Jill Long. So Jill will be joining us in future MSS sessions. And those that know me know I prefer live sessions for lots of different reasons. I really like the team approach. I like to be able to work with an interactive audience, and also I think it's just a way that as a team we're able to sort of deliver more authentic and real world demonstrations and support for the MSS application, as well as respond to questions like in the moment, which are timely to all of you. So in a live environment, we can certainly be a bit more responsive to your needs. However, given the nature of iLearn and that pre-recorded sessions are also useful for things like that just-in-time learning or revisiting, if you watch it today and want to come back to something in the future, there's a lot of value in that too. So I will be with you for this slide, and then I'll just turn off my camera and voice record the remaining slides today. We don't have a lot for live demos at this point in time. Our training environment is still in the previous year, configuration. It's not really updated or ready for this school yet because there hasn't been a whole lot of activity for it to refresh with in our training environment so far this time of year. So the next few slides will walk you through a number of sort of tips and tricks and lessons learned and still learning from a slide perspective. And we'll also give you reference to documents, videos, that kind of thing that you can use to do some explore on your own time to dig deeper. So that's what's in store. Really appreciate again you joining today, and here we go. So once again, welcome. This is our agenda for today's session. We will begin with some MSS information, some updates, and some refreshers. Then we'll move into lessons learned. The next portion will involve some needs for further support, and it will involve some self-exploration time where you can take a bit of time and use it as you need to become more comfortable in your role as the MSS lead. Then we'll follow up with some processes for supports or questions and some wrap up and next steps. It is always awesome when we can begin with some successes, so I will highlight a few successes and celebrations. For those of you who have been with us on this journey for a while, you will know that we began implementing MSS in our Sunwest School Division back in the fall of 2019 as we headed into the 2019-2020 school year. So it really hasn't been that long. As you know, there's certainly been a lot of changes in education and actually in our world since spring of 2020, which went alongside all of our new learnings in relation to MSS. But even with all of this, we have made significant progress and are doing a great job of onboarding schools and utilizing MySchoolSask. Our kindergarten teachers, grade 1 to 9 teachers, high school teachers, and colony teachers are all actively using MSS, so really much to celebrate. Last year was just our third year in shifting to a common provincial 4-point rubric. So thanks again to all of you as our MSS leads, our administrators, Pebble mentors, teachers for supporting us with this process, as well as involving our students and our families in meaningful and related conversations around MySchoolSask. Our schools are all using the family portal. We certainly do realize that some families are using it a little bit more than others, and that's okay. Please know that we as a division lead team are very open to your feedback and to your ideas about ways that we might be able to further support or help your students and families become more active with it, understand what they're viewing, and find some creative ways to encourage more regular usage of the family portal. From a provincial perspective, as of last year, all public schools have now onboarded with MySchoolSask. And this is significant as it's really going to make things much easier. I'd say at this point, especially for our secretaries, processes like withdrawing students or transferring students, from school to school within our province will be so much easier now that we're all on the same system. And there's a lot of actually benefits which come in having one system of record for us as teachers and for our students as we move forward. Definitely our most valuable resource and the biggest cause for celebration is in the work that all of you do as our MSS lead teachers. Thank you. I appreciate your support of each other, of our teachers, of administrators. You are truly building the foundations for success with MySchoolSask in our schools, and for that we are grateful. So thanks to all of you. We will continue working together as we share our knowledge and expertise. Teamwork is still our greatest strength. And kind of on that teamwork note, please know that our secretaries are working very hard in our buildings right now to get school schedules set up and prepare, all those things that you require for things like teacher attendance or taking or putting information into your grade book. But all of that takes a little bit of time to get into place. So if you are dipping into MySchoolSask Live today or in the next couple days and see things aren't really configured yet, it may be that your secretaries just need a little bit more time to get things organized for you. But once you do have access, please encourage all of your teaching staff to take a look at their courses, their class lists, all of those things, and share any discrepancies or questions that they or you may have with your secretaries so that we can work together as a team to get things sorted out early in the school year. We are all and will continue to be in different places in relation to our learning, but we are all still learning in relation to MSS. And really this in and of itself is something to celebrate. So we'll begin with some MySchoolSask updates, reminders, and refreshers. Just a reminder, and we did mention this to new teachers, those who are kind of first time into Aspen and into MySchoolSask might need a bit of help getting signed in. So just as lead teachers, thought it would be important to make mention to you that first time in, teachers really have to go down to that log in using section of MySchoolSask login screen and change it from whatever it is, it's generally on province, but to log in using SunWest SD 207 first, and then click on that AASP button, and then to begin the sign-in process with their username and password as per their email credentials. That will just get them signed in properly. Otherwise, they may get stuck in that endless loop of doom, as we call it, and need some help desk support getting back in. So please support that for any people that are, kind of new to MySchoolSask. There's a number of videos which were created in the past. There's a fundamentals video and handbook which was created by Aspen for use with MySchoolSask. So it's pretty generic, but it is a good video as an overview. We have a staff view set up, and navigation video and handbook still on the resource bank, as well as an attendance and seating chart video. That one might be helpful, for new teachers, just to get a quick visual. In addition, we have a handout as to how to do attendance and start thinking about the seating chart. But again, we will redo some of these videos. We just are waiting for our experimental environment to be reconfigured into the current school year to be able to create those and make them look authentic. So watch for that. But in the meantime, if you or anyone in your building needs some supports, these might be some areas to consider. And we're trying to keep all of the most recent information updated in the resource bank. I just want everyone to know that the Using Gradebook document was updated again recently. It now has some Saskatchewan information in it, which is wonderful. We certainly still have some of our own division specifics, which we must tend to. For example, grades 1 to 9, we're doing outcomes-based reporting. How it looks in the Using Gradebook document is a little bit different than how we enter for the division, just as an example. So we do want to make sure that we're tending to that. But so it was updated in February of 2022. So if you do have it, maybe saved on your OneDrive, or you printed copies and have them in your binders or whatnot, please just make sure that you take time to replace it with the most updated version from February 2022, version 3.0, and encourage any of your teachers that may have done the same to do so as well. This slide just provides a number of the topics within the Using Gradebook document for easy reference. There may be some areas that are of particular interest to you that you might want to dig into in a bit more detail when you have some time later in this session to explore. Also, for reference purposes, it can be quite helpful to have a copy of our current school year calendar on hand. If you need it, please check with your secretaries. They may have some color copies that you can have access to. Also, you could easily print it or save it from our SunWest School Division website. Administrators and secretaries have access to information regarding all of our various reporting periods. So as an MSS lead, you might want to become familiar with this, as there's certain report terms for grade K to 9, and also some quarterly reporting requirements for grades 10 to 12, for instance. So you may want to engage in some discussions with your admin and or secretaries in relation to the timeframes and responsibilities around all of this. And this should help you determine how best to support teachers within your schools. Mentioned as a success was our ability to shift from our previous 5-point rubric to the new provincial 4-point rubric system. And just to remind you that there are an amazing and incredible number of resources in relation to better understanding our academic achievement scale, our Board Policy 18 around 21st century competencies, and how all of our 21st century competencies align with our factors affecting student achievement, or FAFSA. So if you or anybody in your school is looking for further supports, I refer you to this document, which is on the resource bank to begin with, but also to a number of additional resource bank documents that will help as school teams are looking to support 21st century skills and tracking for growth within factors affecting student achievement and their connections to the 21st century skills. So this one being shown on the screen right now is fantastic. It looks at all of our 21st century competencies, from creativity through to computer and digital technologies, and then looks at the alignment of each of the criteria for those 21st century skills and how they align with our factors affecting student achievement. So things like our lifelong learning, our sense of self, engaged citizenship, and work habits that we're going to be reporting on at various reporting intervals throughout the school year. So that's something that you may want to dig into a little bit more. As well, there are sections of the resource bank which have teacher-built 21st century competency exemplar rubrics that will also be helpful in tracking growth within these areas. So just the Pebble mentors, administrators are well aware of these resources, but thought it would also be useful just to make sure our MSS leads are aware, because it's all part of good practice. You know, we're separating the student behaviors, the FAFSA from the academic achievement, and reporting on them in a slightly different way. So it's just good for everybody on the school team to be aware and to work together in supporting students through the process. So as we have worked together in learning the new MySchoolSask system, we have come up with a number of lessons learned along the way and a number that we are still learning. So the next portion of this presentation will just be to quickly highlight some things that are just meant to remind you of some discoveries that we've made that will help with your thinking and planning as you begin to support your teachers within your building this school year. First up is the importance of keeping a backup copy. Some teachers like to have copies, you know, paper-based copies. Others like to have things online in Excel or, you know, some kind of other online tool. So just great practice to keep a backup copy. Things are still a little bit new to some of us in MySchoolSask, and it's not on the regular, but we have had situations where you know, teachers have lost some data because of some changes that had to be made to the setup to the grade book and that kind of thing. So having a backup is good practice. As well, you may want to refer to the Using Gradebook document, the newest version in relation to teacher preferences. When you're in your gradebook, there's a gear icon, I like to call it anyway, kind of on the top right, that you can use to access your teacher preferences, or you can also find it from the Set Preferences screen at the top right, kind of underneath your name when you first sign into your MSS gradebook. So a couple different places or ways to find it. But regardless, there will be information in the various tabs under Set Preferences. There will be tabs, I think they're called like General, Home, Security, Gradebook, and Communication. All the same information that was in there previously, but in a recent upgrade, some of the information was merged into some different tabs with some slightly different names. So if you're noticing a difference, it's pretty much the same, but just some of the information has moved slightly. But there are a few things there in the Set Preferences that teachers may want to set up if they haven't already. For example, General tab, we have like a number of itinerants in our schools, for example. They might want to pick a default school, you know, set a default school. So if they're connected to multiple schools through their gradebook, they might want their default school to be their home school or the school that they spend the most time in, or, you know, whatever. So there's some things that you know, teachers might like to set in terms of their own personal preferences. You or they can also flip through other tabs to see if there's anything else that, you know, might be a recommended preference setting. We don't really have anything specific into relation to most tabs. It's really up to you know, the individual preferences of the teachers. But one tab I will bring your attention to, and you know, it's important for yourselves and our teachers to take a look, is that gradebook tab. It's here that we as teachers can make some adjustments. You know, we might have some preferences in terms of, you know, shading alternate lines in our gradebook just to make it more visible. We might prefer to have our tab, when we hit tab, go across. Some might prefer it goes down, you know, whatever. Those things can be customized per person. But there's also a really important section on averages. And you really want to take some time to look at this. We will get into it in more detail as we progress through this session, but there is some information we all want to pay attention to, you know, whether we're a grade 1 to 9 teacher or a high school teacher or even some combination, in terms of selecting our grade scale, how MSS calculates averages, and just some information into default weighting. So there's really a number of important considerations to be made here, and making them based on your circumstances at the beginning of the year, it's our best case scenario and sort of setting us up for success as we work towards reporting periods and such. So please, if you need a refresher on that, take some time to review the information in this session and also to dig a little deeper into the related manuals. Thanks. You will want to go in and take a look, have teachers take a look at their grade scale preferences in relation to the averages. Grade K to 9 teachers do not need a grade scale as we're reporting on outcomes and strands. Grade 10 to 12 teachers will need a grade scale because they are, reporting a bit more traditionally with the percentage without alpha grade scale. There's information that explains that a little bit more in the gradebook grade scale document, which was produced quite some time ago. I think it was November of 2019. And it may be worth just having a look at. Teachers may have configured their grade scale in a few different places. So that document helps with, where to look. Grade scale preferences, the gradebook class details tab, the categories in the assignments. But I believe what we were finding in practice, if a teacher teaches K to 9 and 10 to 12, they could set their preference for whatever they're utilizing the most, but you can always change those preferences at the lower levels. So, within the assignments, for instance, if you need to, but take a look at that document for some details if needed. Just a reminder too that for grades 1 to 9, we do engage in outcome-based reporting. So we're making sure that we're entering all of our outcomes under that standard or outcome column rather than in the traditional column. And again, there's great documentation about how to do that, how to enter those outcome scores if anybody is needing it. And also we have the academic achievement scale as well as the other codes, the IE for insufficient evidence, NA for not applicable, and IG for individualized goals. And if you're just remembering kind of as a lessons learned or tips and tricks, the IG, NA, and IE are built right into our academic achievement scale for grades 1 to 9, which technically is awesome. It's really good if we can, further indicate to students and parents what is going on. Maybe there has been insignificant evidence or, maybe something a student is working on an individualized goal in that area, and it's a great form of communication. But as we found out, those codes are currently calculating as 0, which is still a known MSS issue. So as a temporary workaround, we were advised to, leave the score blank if that's the case within those outcome columns. If we were going to use IE, for example, just to leave it blank and then to use the assignment feedback to provide the related information. You could put that IE within that feedback and provide a bit of a comment as to why that is the case. And I know that it will be really awesome once those codes are working properly, but we did check at the beginning of the school year here, and it's still calculating as 0 and it hasn't been fixed yet. So just making sure that we are aware of that. There are some other ways we could explore, maybe to deal with these codes in the interim, but such as maybe special codes that we could create, but every teacher would have to do that. So we just need to make sure that we're using common practice within our schools in relation to, if we need to indicate IE, NA, or IG until these get working properly. So if any questions, just reach out on that and we'll support. Also, just a quick reminder, you don't have to worry, too much about this till closer to reporting period times, but for elementary and middle level teachers in relation to factors affecting student achievement, a teacher will have a FAFSA class that's been added and assigned to them. It's typically a homeroom teacher or some kind of designated teacher within the building. So even though FAFSA will only be assigned to one teacher, school collaboration is awesome and it's encouraged in order to to report on the factors affecting student achievement. At the high school level, it looks a little bit different. We've got a FAFSA rubric that's been slipped into the course for each of our courses. So each individual teacher or subject area teacher will be able to report on FAFSA elements at the reporting period times. The Using Gradebook document contains a lot of great information for teachers as they're beginning to set up their gradebooks during a new school year. There's information on things like linking classes, how grades are being calculated, how to set up categories and any category weighting, if needed in certain classes, how to create assessments or assignments within MySchoolSask, how to enter scores. And I do advise looking at the Using Gradebook document kind of in conjunction with some of our SunWest produced documentation, just to make sure the proper procedures and protocols are being followed for setting up gradebook at the beginning of the school year. Some of you have become experts at using more advanced features in gradebooks, such as importing assignments. And it's just basically a tool that you can find out a little bit more about in the Using Gradebook document that lets you take and import assignments or assessments from other classes or from other school years into your current gradebook for those same classes. So might be a feature you want to look into if you think that might be a time saver for yourself or some of your teachers within your buildings. Default weighting is also a topic you might want to spend a bit more time investigating. You can do so by reading up in Appendix C of the Using Gradebook document, a section called Set Default Weighting. There's some critical information in there about default weighting in order for the averages to calculate properly. We also prepared a document, the Gradebook Teacher Tips document, that had some information provided to teachers when they were deciding how to set up their grade books, especially for grade 10 to 12 courses. It's fantastic that MySchoolSask offers teachers a lot of possibilities, but we just have to make sure that as teachers, we are understanding how MySchoolSask is treating the default weighting or calculating averages based on what we're telling it we want it to do. So that might be an area, if you're needing further support or your colleagues at the school that you may want to investigate, and you can certainly reach out if you have any questions and we'll help you with that. Hopefully this is becoming a bit more second nature by now, but please make sure your visibility types on your assignments are being set to public. We did find some discrepancies when we first rolled out Family Portal, where some of the information seen on Portal versus, in your gradebook were different. And that was mainly because some of the assignments were set to private rather than public. So just making sure that you look at the visibility type in setting your assignments. Special codes are an excellent feature in MySchoolSask, but as we learned, every teacher must set up their own special codes. So as a division, we recommended a few special codes that schools may want to consider having all teachers set up in relation to things like when you're doing the 1 to 9 grading, indicating that assignment has been collected, that something is maybe incomplete or those types of things. You can certainly utilize those codes if you wish, but you'll want to make sure that everybody understands how to set them up. Teachers can also set some different special codes depending on how they're utilizing gradebook, but best practice reminder is to be sure that teachers, students, and families are aware of what those special codes mean. Further to special codes, another tool within MySchoolSask is footnotes. And I know something we heard from the advisory team when we were exploring capabilities within MySchoolSask was the desire to indicate late assignments and to have that late kind of preserved. Won't affect their academic achievement or their grade, but sometimes you just want to keep track of some of those habits in relation to the submission of assignments. So something that teachers can consider, and again, they would have to set this up individually within their own grade books under your guidance, but you could have a footnote that indicates late. And then what you'll see is just a small sort of subscript L that will appear by those assignments, just as a reminder to teachers and students that yes, that's in, they know how they did on that particular assignment or assessment, but it was late. This is a lesson learned and still learning. We have been struggling a little bit since the implementation of MySchoolSask with our middle level PAA survey course outcomes. We're still struggling a little bit. We sent out a survey last school year in the spring to find out more about how schools are offering the different and configuring the different PAA survey classes. Found out a lot of fantastic information thanks to yourselves and your administrators and your secretaries. And we were hoping we would have a better solution for how to track by outcome and engage in best practice reporting in relation to our middle level PAA survey courses, but we're not quite there yet. So please stay tuned. There will be more to come, but right now we're anticipating progressing as we did last year in relation to those middle level PAA outcomes. The beauty of MySchoolSask is that as we learn features, they really remain quite constant and the same as we move between reporting periods and into different school years. Something though, just as a note for MSS lead teachers, is we did onboard with kindergarten reporting last year. Again, a lot of the how-tos are very similar, but kindergartens do report a little bit differently than other grade 1 to 9 classes. For example, in kindergarten, the kindergarten is actually set up into 4 different classes with the intellectual domain, the physical domain, the social emotional domain, and the spiritual domain. Your kindergarten teachers will be well aware of the outcomes involved in each of those domains and how they're, setting up learning experiences and doing their tracking. The different piece though, and again, the procedures for how we enter is very similar, but they will be reporting using an alpha scale. So the continually, usually, sometimes, and rarely, which is something that Carol and the kindergarten team determined would be a best fit for us in the school division. So just some things, you will have the expertise in relation to MySchoolSask. The kindergarten teachers will have the expertise in relation to curriculum and what they're trying to achieve, and we'll continue to work together in terms of some sound reporting. And finally, just a bit of a wrap up in these lessons learned about student and family portal. It is fantastic that more students and families are using the portal. We still know that there's a bit of angst and some hesitancy in using it, maybe because of usability or the fact that there isn't an app for it, but it's still a fantastic tool for those that are utilizing it, and we hope to improve that usability this school year. Some things for teachers though, that are useful to think about as you're setting up your grade books at the beginning of the school year is there's lots of ways we can communicate some additional information with parents and students through the portal. So when you're in your grade book and you're entering information for your class, there is a section called portal notes. And if you click on show on portal notes or show notes in portal, I can't talk, and right into that box there, parents and students will see anything additional. So if you had some overall course information or things about the course outline or things that students' families needed to know, that would be a great place to put that information. Also, when you are digging into your setting up your classes a little bit more and creating some particular assignments, there's a tab where you can click on portal description. And under that portal description, you could add any information about that particular assignment or assessment that you were entering. And again, it's just more communication through the portal with students and families. And also, I think everyone's well aware of this, but for everything that you score, you're able to provide some assignment feedback for those, grade 1 to 9 students, for example, in this visual, and able to then give them specific feedback on their assignment that will be able to be viewed on the portal. Finally, MySchoolSask can be used as a communication tool if you're looking to email students or parents. We have learned, though, another lesson learned, that we want to proceed with caution when we do decide to use MySchoolSask for communicating with parents and students in this way. You just want to make sure that you're paying close attention to all the pop-ups and things along the way to make sure that you are emailing who you intend to email. If you're emailing, maybe a progress report to a particular student, you want to make sure it goes to that particular student and not to, your whole class grouping or to some, contacts, which would be parents or family members of other students. Just want to make sure that you're paying close attention to the details of the wizards that pop up and that your emails are landing in the inboxes of those that they're intended to. Being that it's the start of the school year, all we'll say about report cards and posting grade process is to stay tuned. There will be more to come a little bit closer to that first reporting period time in November. Wrap up and next steps. We are about a half an hour into this session now, and we're going to turn it over to you for some time to explore. This might be a good time for you to become reacquainted with all things MySchoolSask related. Maybe you want to dig into the resource bank and find some of these documents that we've been talking about, or look for some of the updates. You might want to, if you have other teachers in your building today or over the next couple of days, connect with your new teachers or colleagues, find out what their needs are and how you might be able to best support. And I also encourage you to take some time during these moments here to reflect on the needs, your needs, the needs of your staff, and to respond to us, the L1 Division Lead team, using this QR code or the form. If you wish to do that, we would really appreciate it, because we are looking for some feedback on how we can better support you. So in terms of those supports, take your time, do some digging. You can go back and forth between pieces of this PowerPoint if you wish, if you need to refer to things. Think about those needs for support, and at the end of your time, if you don't mind filling out that form, that would be fantastic. And just general good practice within our division. We look to you as MSS leads and also our administrators to support teachers within your building. But sometimes, if you're collaborating and can't figure things out, reach out. The first line of defense is by help desk ticket, by yourself as the MSS lead to put that through to us. That will escalate it to us at the division level, and we will take a look at it as a team. One of the team members will have a look at it and try to provide some supports. The more detail you can give us around the context or screenshots or things in the help desk ticket, the better. And then if we need help and can't figure things out, we can escalate it to the provincial level and get back to you with some information. So that's sort of the formal process. But that being said, we don't want anybody to struggle, if we can, and you need to just pick up the phone and call us, or, send us a personal email about something. We certainly won't, we will certainly respond to you. We won't turn you away. But the formal processes are to submit the help desk ticket. And the main reason for that is just that we're all able to kind of build a knowledge base about what are some common questions, what are things that are, in need of some further supports. That helps us to better support you. This session isn't live today, but if you do have any questions as you're beginning to get prepared for supporting yourself and your colleagues for the next school year, please reach out. You could try maybe giving us a call today or emailing or a formal help desk ticket request, and we'll try to help you get oriented and on track just as quickly as we possibly can. So if you haven't taken time to explore on your own, now is a great time to do so. Before I sign off though, on behalf of our Sun West School Division L1 team, thank you to all of you for your willingness to take on this leadership role within your school and for being willing to support your colleagues with all things MSS. Please have an amazing school year and stay in touch. Take care.